Yo, what is good people, Ben from Lover of Tech, and we are back with another video, this time four-way camera comparison between the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Yeah, you asked for it, and we're doing it as a four-way camera comparison. We're going to be testing the daylight, low light, rear cameras, and front-facing cameras to see how these flagship phones perform against each other. Without wasting much time, let's get into the camera specs, and then back into the main camera comparison. Now, the best way to watch this camera comparison is on the largest display possible at the highest resolution at 4K 60 FPS with headphones on, so you can actually hear the audio differences with the microphones as they're switching in video. And also, there will be chapters linked in the description below to get to the section that you want, but definitely it's worth having to sit back, relax, getting your popcorn and your drink, watching it from beginning to end, because this is going to be a detailed one to really see how the performance is across these devices. You asked for it, we heard you loud and clear. The merch store is now live with apparel with your favorite phrase that you hear in these camera comparisons. Quick run available amongst all other things, so definitely check the link in the description below and get your merch related to Lover of Tech. We are now recording in the front-facing camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. On the selfie camera in 4K UHD 60 frames a second, with the exception of the Honor Magic 6 Pro, as it is limited to just 4K 30 frames a second on a front-facing camera. To get 60 FPS, you do have to drop it down to 1080p. Right now, we're going to be testing the image quality, sharpness, detail, dynamic range, and of course stabilization with a quick run. We're still recording on the front-facing camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on a Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Still in the 60 FPS mode in 4K, again with the exception of the Honor Magic 6 Pro. It is doing 60 FPS, but to have the ability to do it, you have to drop it down to 1080p. So this is 1080p to get 60 FPS on the front-facing camera on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Let's do a quick run. We're still recording on the front-facing camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on a Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We're now in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode, which is supported on all these devices. And just seeing how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and of course, stabilization. With a quick run. We are still recording in the front-facing camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, on a Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Now we are in the respective video portrait mode with the background blur effect on these devices, but there's got to be some differences. Having checked, the Honor Magic 6 Pro does not do this at all on the front-facing camera. It only does it on a rear-facing camera in the movie mode, once enabled, limited to just 1080p 24 FPS on a main rear camera. The Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max allow you to do this mode in 4K 30 FPS. And then the Vivo X100 Pro, although it did just get the software update to allow you to record 4K 30 and 4K 60 video on a front-facing camera, this does not translate to the video portrait mode for cinematic. It's just limited to 1080p 30 FPS. Now we're going to walk through some of the benefits and limitations of how using such a mode works on these cameras. Let's start with the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now the benefit you have here is that you do have the ability to go through the different blur effects from big circle, color point, glitch, all the way down. You can also remove the blur completely while you're recording. Go back to the default, which is level 5, all the way up to level 7, as you see right now. Now, with the iPhone and the Vivo, you cannot do any changes and have different effects while you're recording. But once you finish recording, within the edit, you have the ability to change the blur intensity and the blur points in post, which is a great benefit. This is something you can't do on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but you can change things while you're recording on the front-facing camera for blur. We are now recording in the rear cameras in 4K UHD 30 frames a second on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Again, just seeing how the image quality is like, detail, colors, stabilization, with a quick run. Let's switch to the ultra wide. As you're recording in 4K 30, all these four camera systems do allow you to switch cameras on the fly. And this is what we have with the ultra wide performance. Quick run. Back to the 1X. Back to the 1X. 1. We're going to switch to the 2X, as all of them do have a 2X mode. We're just going to do a slow walk. We're going to do 2.6X. Now this optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro, so just a slight bit of patience as I go through the zoom modes. So we're in 2.6X. This optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro. And just seeing how the performance is like. Again, we're just going to try and match all the zooms as much as possible on the camera systems. We're now going to switch to 3X. Again, 3X optically favors the Galaxy S24 Ultra now. So in the 3X mode, it's the Galaxy S24 Ultra that is optically favored. And we're just seeing how the image quality performance is like as we go through. Go to 4.3X. Again, this will now optically favor the Vivo X100 Pro. Yeah, we're just taking our time with this one. So this is just going to be a steady handheld. Now to 5X, which now optically favors both the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Right, we're going to come back to the 1X. 1X. We're still shooting a sequence on here. And we're going to go through some of the benefits and the limitations of these camera systems as we go through. Let's start with the iPhone 15 Pro Max with the least capability. Although you can switch between the rear lenses as we've demonstrated, you can't pause recording on the same clip and continue. You can take pictures, but you can't pause, and you cannot flip to the front-facing camera. Next one in terms of limitation is going to be the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Again, you can switch between the rear lenses, you can take pictures at the same time, you can pause recording and continue on the same clip, but you cannot flip to the front-facing camera. Next we have is the Vivo X100 Pro, which has great flexibility actually. As you can see, you can switch between the rear cameras as I've demonstrated. You can pause recording and continue recording on the same clip, take pictures, and you can flip to the front-facing camera. So yep, continue on the same clip, front-facing camera, 4K 30 FPS video recording. This is excellent to see, Vivo. And last but not least, the Galaxy S24 Ultra. This is something that Samsung have been doing for years. That's been really good. Being able to switch between the rear cameras in 4K 30 FPS, being able to pause recording and continue on the same clip, take pictures, and of course, flip to the front-facing camera. So here we are, front-facing camera on the same clip, 4K 30 video recording. We're still recording on the rear cameras in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Again, just seeing how the image quality is like, sharpness, detail, colors, dynamic range, and image stabilization, of course, with a quick run. Following the same sequence, let's switch to the ultra wide and see how the performance is like. What's really good is this generation, including the Galaxy S24 Ultra, when you're recording in 4K 60, you can switch between the rear lenses without having to be completely stopping and continue recording. So I really love to see this. Yes, they didn't put this on the S24 Plus and S24, but at least on the Ultra is there. So well done, Samsung, for catching up with the competition. Quick run. Okay, let's go to 2x, 2x, 2x. As all these devices do have a 2x mode, it's just going to be a slow walk to see what the stabilization is like and just the overall image quality when it's doing a central crop 2x on the main sensor. We're now going to do a 2.6x crop. This optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro. And again, we're just going to match it as best as possible. So I appreciate the patience here, just so we can see the optical to digital differences as we go through. So again, 2.6x. This is optically favoring the Honor Magic 6 Pro. So I like people like that. Right, 2.6x done. We're going to go to 3x. Now 3x optically favors the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Almost got it. 3x on the Vivo finally. So again, 3x mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra is where it's optically favored. You've just seen how the image quality difference is like. Testing the smartphones. Yeah, seeing how good the cameras are. Because it helps people know which one they want to buy.
Do you own a shop?
No, online, YouTube. Yeah, they are. You'll be fine. I'll know once it's finished. Hence why we test it. No, you're fine, you're good. Again, interacting with people makes it so much more fun. I'm going to keep this all in there. So what we're going to do now is switch to the 4.3x mode, and this is optically favoring the Vivo X100 Pro. So just your patience on here. We're going to do a steady hold. Now we're going to go into the 5x mode, which optically favors both the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Back to the 1X, back to 1X, and back to the 1X. Again, just a quick reminder that the same limitations apply in 4K 60 when it comes to lens switching. The iPhone doesn't allow you to pause recording and continue on the same clip or flip to the selfie, but you can change between the rear cameras as demonstrated. Then followed by the Honor Magic 6 Pro, which does allow you to pause recording, switch between the lenses and continue on the same clip, but you can't flip to the selfie, you can take pictures. Then you've got the Vivo X100 Pro, where for some reason, although it does support 4K 60 FPS video recording on the rear camera and the front-facing camera, you cannot switch between them. It is limited. You can only do this up to 4K 30. So I hope they further update this and make the usability a parity with 4K 60 recording, flipping to the front-facing camera. And then the absolutely most flexible is definitely the Galaxy S24 Ultra, where you can pause recording, continue on the same clip, take pictures, flip between the rear cameras, and then to the front-facing camera. Praise where praise is due, Samsung. You listened. You have the most flexible video recording in 4K 60 for all the lenses, including the selfie and the ability to take pictures, pause, and continue. Love this. Absolutely an ultra top-tier pro feature. So we are now in the super steady mode, the action mode, and the ultra stabilization mode, respectively, on each devices. And we're going to run through each device and the limitations that they have and the benefits. Galaxy S24 Ultra does shoot this at QHD 1440p at 60 FPS in the ultra wide 1X and 2X mode. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is actually the best in this mode. It does it in 2.8K at 60 FPS in the ultra wide 1X, 2X, and the 5X mode. The Vivo does have an ultra stabilization mode, but it has this weird quirk where it's only available in 1080p 60. You can't actually shoot this in 30 FPS. 1080p 60 only, and it does it in a 1X and a 2X mode. Now, we went through this on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. It doesn't seem to have this feature in there at all. It's recording in 4K 60. We're going to compare it and see what the stabilization is with a strong, fast run. Still in a super steady action mode and ultra stabilization mode on the respective devices. Again, the limitation of frame rate, resolution has been explained from before, and the Honor Magic 6 Pro doesn't have this mode at all. Again, in the 1X mode now, let's see how they perform. Again, still in the respective ultra stabilization, action mode, and super steady mode. We're now in the 2X mode, seeing how they perform when zoomed in. Again, still in a respective super steady action mode and ultra stabilization mode. We've now gone to the 5X mode, which is optically using it on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The Galaxy S24 Ultra doesn't allow you to use the 5X zoom in this particular mode. And we've plunged in 5X on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, which doesn't have this mode at all. And with the Vivo X100 Pro, it does give you a 5X option. It doesn't display it on the front UI. You do have to press and hold, and then you can go to 4 and 5. So we're in the 5X mode. We're going to see how they perform. We are now recording in the 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on both the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Pro. The other devices, although do have high resolution main sensors, are still limited to a maximum resolution of 4K. We're just seeing how the image quality is like, stabilization, field of view, and detail. Quick run. We're still recording in the 8K video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Pro, while the others are limited to 4K 30. Now, the benefit you get with the Samsung is the 5x zoom does allow you to optically record in 4K 30. Whereas the Vivo, although it does have a high resolution 4.3x zoom, it doesn't actually allow you to record in 8K in that mode. It only crops on the main sensor. So this is a great advantage on the Samsung, that the high resolution 5x optical zoom sensor does allow you to record in 8K 30. Great work on this Samsung. So we are now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the main rear camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Look, give me a bit of rating. I've got to say these long names on all these devices over and over again, so definitely show support for that. Right now what we're doing is we're actually seeing how the image quality is like when a human subject is in the frame, match to the environment just to see how the image quality, sharpness, detail, and the lamp range is like. And yeah, pretty much let me know how that looks like. We're still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We've switched to the ultra wide now, just seeing how the image quality difference is like and how they handle with a human frame in the subject. We're just seeing how they are. So I'm going to step forward, see how close the ultra wide viewing is, step back. We're still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, Honor Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We've now gone into the 2X mode, and of course this is doing a central crop on the main wide sensor, and just seeing how the image quality is like across these three devices, with me in the frame as the subject. We're still in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Now we're in the 2.6x zoom mode, and again, this optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro, whereas the others are still doing a digital crop. So again, let's see what the image quality is like in terms of the differences in the zoom mode. We're still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Now what we've now done in this particular mode is gone into the 4.3x zoom mode, and this is optically favoring what we have here on the Vivo X100 Pro. And again, we're just going to see how the optical differences are compared to differences in the digital on all these devices. We're still in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Slight correction, in the previous one I said 4.3x. That previous one was actually the 3x mode. This is the 4.3x mode, and this optically favors the Vivo X100 Pro. So we're just seeing how the image quality difference is like. Again, the previous one was 3x, and that was optically favoring the Galaxy S24 Ultra. We are still in the respective 4K 30 frames per second video recorder mode, Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. But in the 5x optical zoom mode, this is optically favoring the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We're just going to see how they compare in this particular zoom mode in 4K 30. We've now switched switch over to the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. And we're just seeing how the image quality is like in 4K at the 60 FPS with me in the frame as the subject, starting with the main camera. We're still in the respective 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We've now switched to their respective ultra-wide 0.5, 0.6 field of view. Just going to step forward, see the ultra-wide perspective, step back. We're still in the respective 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and Vivo X100 Pro. Now we're in the 2x digital crop mode, which is doing a central crop on all the main sensors on all these devices. We're just seeing how the image quality is like with me in the frame as a subject. We're still in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We're now in the 2.6x zoom mode. This optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and we're just going to see how that compares on other devices. So we're now still recording in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We're now in the 3x zoom mode, and this optically favors the Galaxy S24 Ultra, so just comparing it to the other devices to see how they perform. UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We're in the 4.3x zoom mode, and this optically favors the Vivo X100 Pro. We're just going to compare them to the other devices to see how they work. We're still in the 4K UHD 60 frames per second video recorder mode, Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. We're now in the 5x optical zoom mode, and this optically favors the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We're just comparing it to the others to see how they perform. We're now recording in the 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Pro on the main wide sensor. The others are still limited to 4K, only in the maximum resolution, and just seeing how the 8K video quality is like compared to the 4K quality with me in the frame as the subject. We're still recording in 8K 30 frames per second video recorder mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Pro, and 4K 30 on the Magic 6 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We're actually testing this in a 5x zoom mode, and this optically favors only on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The Vivo is doing a crop on the main wide sensor. It doesn't actually switch to the 4.3x zoom at 50 megapixels to record in 8K 30. So this is a good look on Samsung. We're just seeing how it performs with me in the frame as a subject. So we're now recording in their respective cinematic video portrait background blur mode on the main wide sensor on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the Magic 6 Pro, and the Vivo X100 Pro. Now we're going to be seeing some differences here. With the Samsung and the iPhone and the Vivo, this actually does allow you to record in 4K 30 frames a second. Whereas this in the movie mode on the Honor is just limited to 1080p 24 FPS. So again, let's just see how the image quality is like when it comes to the background blur. We're still in the respective video portrait mode. As previous mentioned, all the limitations. We're now doing this in the 2x zoom mode and just seeing how the performance is like with me in the frame as a subject. So we're still in a respective video portrait mode for the background blur effect. Now at the maximum crop end for these devices, they don't all match. Now the iPhone and the Samsung do allow you to have a 3x crop mode. The Honor Magic 6 Pro is just limited to a 2x crop. And then from the 2x with the Vivo X100 Pro, you do go all the way up to 4.3x. There isn't an in-between gap to go from 3 or 2. You go from 2 to 4.3, so we've framed it for the 4.3x on a Vivo, and we're just basically seeing how things look like. Quick autofocusing test on an iPhone 15 Pro Max in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Quick autofocusing test on an iPhone 15 Pro Max in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Quick autofocusing test on the Galaxy S24 Ultra in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Focus enhancer. And disabled. Quick autofocusing test on the Galaxy S24 Ultra in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Bring it up close. Focus enhancer doesn't work in low light. Quick autofocusing test with the Honor Magic 6 Pro on the main camera lens in 4K 30. Quick autofocusing test with the Honor Magic 6 Pro in low light, 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Quick autofocusing test with the Vivo X100 Pro in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. Quick autofocusing test in low light on the Vivo X100 Pro in 4K 30 on the main camera lens. So here we have the dual recorded mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. This is new and replaces the previous director's view mode, where it allows you to now pick two of the lenses that you want to be using. And the good thing about this is it works up to 4K ultra high definition 30 FPS mode. And it's great because you still do get the option to flip between the cameras. As you can see, you can also save it as two separate files, or as in picture-in-picture as you're seeing right now. And of course, pause recording and continue on the same clip, as well as take pictures. Love the fact that this works in 4K. It's a really good mode. Really like it on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now for the Honor Magic 6 Pro, it does have a multi-video recording mode, which does allow you to pick different recording modes and actually allow you to make these changes on the fly, as you're seeing. Which is a nice benefit. You do have the option to pause recording and continue on the same clip. And also you do have the ability to take pictures at the same time. One limitation I'm seeing is that it does work in just 1080p 30. And obviously in the 1080p mode, it does show the 16:9 aspect ratio as well as the 21:9 aspect ratio. And the ultra wide angle lens on the rear camera doesn't show up. What you have is the 1x, 2x, and 5x. So just something to bear in mind. But again, great flexibility and a nice feature to have on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. We are now recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recording mode on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, Honor Magic 6 Pro, Vivo X100 Pro, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And just seeing how the low light performance is like on the main and the rear cameras alike. Let's now switch to the ultra wide. See the low light performance difference. Back to the main. Back to the main. 1x. 2. 2. 2. 2. I'm just going to go to 2.6, 4.3, the maximum optical ranges. 2.6 on Honor Magic, 4.3 on the Vivo, 5x on the Samsung, 5x on the iPhone. Back to the 1x. Back to the 1x. We are now recording in a 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recording mode on a front-facing camera selfie on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, Honor Magic 6 Pro, Vivo X100 Pro, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And just seeing how the low light performance is on a front-facing camera on these 4 flagship devices. So when I'm recording in the 4K UHD 30 frames per second video recorder mode on a rear main camera on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, on a Magic 6 Pro, iPhone 15 Pro Max and a Vivo X100 Pro. Again, we're just seeing the low light performance with the main camera with me in the frame as a subject, seeing how it performs in low light. And again, we're just sticking to the rear camera. When I'm recording in the respective video portrait mode, cinematic blur, background blur for video, and there is quite a few bit of differences between these devices. So for example, if you look at the Galaxy S24 Ultra, this on a main camera is probably going to give you the most consistent and best results in low light for video portrait mode with the background blur. It is recording at 4K 30. You do have this option on the iPhone, but in the previous iPhone struggle in these modes, and even if you're using flash, it doesn't really work, even though you do have the option for 4K 30. The Honor Magic 6 Pro does this in its movie mode, and it is limited to just 1080p to 24 FPS. There is no 4K option, there is no 30 FPS option, and we'll see how the performance is like. The Vivo X100 Pro does have a 4K 30 option. I'm not entirely too sure how the low light performance is going to be, but we'll analyze it and see how the footage is like. But this does have a 4K 30 FPS option for the main camera for the cinematic portrait blur video effect. Now we've gone through the video, let's watch all things and analyze everything related to the photos between the Galaxy S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, on a Magic 6 Pro, and also the Vivo X100 Pro. Buckle up, people. I'm going to do this as quick fire analysis just to try and save this video from being too long. So if I'm going too quick, feel free to pause it, take time to analyze it. But yeah, we're going to fire through this one. Let's start with the ultra wide landscape images first. And with this particular situation, you can instantly see that on a Magic 6 Pro, very, very vibrant next to all the others. Whereas the iPhone and the Samsung are definitely going for a much more realistic, natural look. And the Vivo actually strikes a balance between the two. So I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing on the Samsung and the iPhone, followed by the Vivo, and then the Honor Magic 6 Pro. But again, the Honor Magic 6 Pro might be a preferred look because it's going for that more warmer, more saturated look. But I'm telling you, it was a dark and gloomy day. Wasn't really all looking as nice as it was there. Now moving over to the main wide sensor, you can see that the consistency is still there, but actually the Honor Magic 6 Pro tones it down a little bit more, makes it look a bit more natural and toned down. So I actually prefer how the One X is processing the image on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, but the S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then the Vivo, as well as the Honor, definitely in that order is what I'm liking right now. Now let's move over to the 2X. And again, the 2X mode is doing a digital process crop on the main wide sensor on all these devices. And in terms of how the image holds up across the board, all of them are actually doing really good. What I'm really preferring with the Samsung and the iPhone is how consistent things have been from the ultra wide up to the 2X when it comes to the image processing and the look. So definitely holds it there. So I definitely like that. And the order pretty much stays the same, followed by the Vivo and then the Honor Magic 6 Pro. In the 2.5X mode, here is where it optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and we're trying to match up on the others. Again, is it going to be an absolute focal equivalent? No, but again, I'll try my best to just keep it that way, just so there's an element of match and consistency, so there's no mismatch, because I know most of you appreciate the extra effort going in there. In this particular situation, you can see that the iPhone 15 Pro Max really starts to fall apart. The image starts to look really soft. Obviously, in terms of the detail, you have that on the Honor. The Galaxy S24 Ultra actually holds up really well, but the Vivo follows after the Honor, then Samsung, then the iPhone. When we move over to the 3x zoom lens, now this optically favors the Galaxy S24 Ultra to an extent. It is still a low resolution sensor that is around what, 10 megapixels. So it's something to consider compared to the high resolution that you're getting on the Honor Magic as well as the other devices. Again, the iPhone image is going to start falling apart even more because the range from 1x, 2x, all the way up to 5x, it doesn't have a mid-range zoom. So it's something to consider. Whereas the Honor Magic 6 Pro and the Vivo hold up really well because of their high resolution main sensors. Now, when we move to the 4.3x zoom mode, this now optically favors the Vivo X100 Pro. And again, you can see that the Vivo X100 Pro, although darker, which is probably more representative of how the day was, as well as obviously just the image size of what you're getting. The Honor Magic 6 Pro is actually holding up a lot better than I expected, and in some ways the S24 Ultra is actually holding ground well considering resolution it's working with. It's just about to hit the 5x, but yeah, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is still falling apart in most cases. Now when we move over to the 5x zoom lens, now this is where we optically favor the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and in this particular situation they are definitely looking good, and it's just such a nicely balanced image with great detail. This is something I'm really liking on here, especially on the S24 Ultra, thanks to the high resolution sensor that it's doing in terms of the binning. Now, let's start moving into the extended zoom ranges, 10x. Now, in this particular situation, the optical clarity that you're getting across these devices are actually very respectable across the board. In terms of the color tuning, again, the most consistent throughout has been the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is something I really like. Now, the Honor Magic 6 Pro in this particular situation looks very over sharpened and very over processed, whereas the Vivo X100 Pro does go for a slightly more punchy, saturated look, but it's actually nicely detailed without any over processing and over sharpening. Now, in the 25x zoom mode, this is the maximum that you do have for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We've got the 30x, 30x and 30x for the Vivo, the Honor and the S24 Ultra, and in this particular situation the S24 Ultra is the one that's looking the best. It's a very, very tough detailed extended zoom to be able to see any form of the text that you've got here, but you are seeing a bit on the S24 Ultra, then followed by the Vivo, then followed by the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And then with the maximum zoom range of 100x, again, very specialist situation to be using this, but it stands true. It is the S24 Ultra, and then followed by the Vivo X100 Pro, and then the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and of course with the iPhone 15 Pro Max it's limited to 25x. It will be interesting to see once I get around to doing the Galaxy S24 Ultra versus S23 Ultra versus the S22 Ultra legacy testing for the camera, how the drop to the 5x zoom really affects the super extended zoom range. I still prefer it over the 10x, but again, it would just be interesting to see. It's probably gone live by the time you've watched it. If not already, definitely check the link in the description below and the cards above. But for now, yeah, extended zoom range S24 Ultra all day. Now, all these cameras do have a high resolution shooting mode. It all depends on the focal length and the lens that you're using. Now, start with the main wide sensor. The iPhone 15 Pro Max does shoot at 48 megapixels, S24 Ultra at 50 megapixels, Honor Magic 6 Pro 50 megapixels, and of course the Vivo X100 Pro at 50 megapixels. Again, in terms of the processing, you can see that it is slightly a bit more underexposed and neutral on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Details good across the board, and again, I will show an extended additional crop after this one so you can analyze and see the landscape detail here for yourself. For the S24 Ultra, there is a 200 megapixel mode as well. This one, you do need amples, lots of lighting, and in this particular situation today, it wasn't that much to really work with. So again, consider that, and it's a large file, all things considered, and it does take some time to process. So it is a mode that is there, but it takes longer to process, so just bear that in mind. Now, when we move over to the ultra wide, for the high resolution shooting, that's available on the Honor Magic 6 Pro and the Vivo X100 Pro. The iPhone and the Samsung are using lower resolution sensors at 12 megapixels, so just consider that. More detail and options that you've got on the Vivo and the Honor when it comes to high resolution ultra wide. And when it comes to the zoom, the high resolution shooting mode is on the Galaxy S24 Ultra with the 5x lens, not the 3x, and then the Vivo with the 4.3x lens, and also with the Honor Magic 6 Pro 180 megapixels, which is at 2.5x, and then no resolution that is high on the iPhone 15 Pro Max for the zoom at 5x is 12 megapixels. I'm not too sure if the 108 megapixels is really needed. It seems overkill. It would have been fine at 50 megapixels, maybe had an extended zoom range of around 3.5x, but again, That's just me personally. These are the results that you're getting in this mode. Now let's move over to the front-facing camera for some selfies. And in terms of the image and the clarity and the quality, they actually all do well. But I'm really liking the image of the Galaxy S24 Ultra when it comes to the skin rendition as well as the environment. Then followed by the Vivo X100 Pro, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Great field of view on all of them, but especially on the Vivo X100 Pro. Now, when we go to portrait mode, all of them do great when it comes to edge detection, background blur. Again, I don't have that much here to really test it, but all of them do great in this particular scenario. What I don't really like about that iPhone 15 Pro Max is the fact that when you shoot in portrait mode, it crops in, so you lose field of view, and also it does actually produce a slightly lower resolution image as well. The best way is to take a normal picture on the selfie and then in edit actually change it to a portrait mode image. This is just the same way. So I hope Apple actually get rid of this additional crop that happens in portrait mode. But again, just take a normal picture, edit and post, and transform it into a portrait image. So here's a test and showcase of Cal Kestis's Funko Pop with his Droid BD1 to see the minimum focus and distance on the main camera lens across these devices. And overall, one of the things that really plays the iPhone 15 Pro Max is that the natural minimum focus and distance on the main camera lens is not that great. You cannot get that close. So it really is something that affects it when it comes to minimum focus and distance, where you want to get that natural background blur as close as possible. This is something that the Galaxy S24 Ultra is really good at, on a Magic 6 Pro as well. But yeah, the iPhone really suffers from this, and to some extent the Vivo X100 Pro, as you can see, when you move a bit closer, this is when the images start to blur out, and if you check the distance between them, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is further away than the Vivo X100 Pro. Then of course the Honor Magic 6 Pro and the S24 Ultra are basically near enough the same. This is where macro mode is so important for these devices, and it's even more important for the iPhone because it's the one that really allows you to get close compared to the others. The others get close enough, which is really good, but the iPhone's minimum focusing distance on macro mode is really good. There is a super macro feature that allows you to use the zoom on a Vivo as well, but overall, when it comes to really getting up close and personal, the iPhone 15 Pro Max with the macro mode is really good. Right, last set of daylight images with the rear cameras with me in the frame as a subject. We of course have to really see how these smartphones behave with a human subject in the frame for the rear cameras. And of course, as I am part of the darker skin persuasion, it is always an interesting challenge to see how they process through. Let's start with the ultra wide. And with the ultra wide image, I'm actually liking the environmental look of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but the exposure to me as a subject is not that great. I definitely like the exposure to the subject that is on the S24 Ultra, but the environment seems a bit more unrealistic. The Vivo X100 Pro actually strikes a decent balance, but again, my skin tone is a bit too red on the ultra wide, whereas the Honor Magic 6 Pro, the exposure is just slightly higher, but actually catches a nice balance. So I actually like what I'm seeing with the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now let's move over to the One X sensor. Again, same consistency through. The environmental look on the iPhone is a lot more realistic, but again, the exposure to me as a subject, not all that great. I like the look of the S24 Ultra as me as a subject. And then of course, the balance on the X100 Pro is a lot better now in terms of the skin processing. Still a bit more red in certain areas than I would like. And the Honor Magic 6 Pro, high exposure, but the color processing on my jacket is quite unrealistic, just to put it out there. Now, let's move to the 2x mode as it's processing. Again, same consistency across all of them, so nothing's changing that. But in terms of the detail, I feel like in this particular situation, the Galaxy S24 Ultra actually holds up really well, whereas the Honor Magic 6 Pro seems a bit artificial and overprocessed, so just something to consider in that respect. Okay, 2.5x. Now, this optically favors the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and in this particular situation, the clarity is good, but actually on all of them, it holds up really well. It's now the Vivo X100 Pro that looks a bit over processed and kind of like a softer oil painting look, not by that much, but again, more realistic detail on the S24 iPhone 15 Pro Max and of course the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now, in the 3x zoom mode, it does optically favor the S24 Ultra, but the image does look softer than I would like. Actually, the clarity on the iPhone 15 Pro Max hits really nice. On the Magic 6 Pro holds up really well, and the Vivo as well to an extent is now looking a lot better compared to the previous 2.5x. Now, when we move over to 4.3x, now it's optically favoring the Vivo X100 Pro, and in this situation, it looks really nicely detailed, realistic. The others are actually holding up way better than I expected, especially the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Yes, it is softer, but yeah, it's actually holding up really well. And then I'll say the S24 Ultra and the Honor Magic 6 Pro looking nice and clear, especially on the Honor. Now, 5x now optically favors what we have on the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the S24 Ultra. And all of them across the board, because they are in this particular extended zoom range, are looking good. I like the look of the S24 Ultra. It's looking really good. And things hold up a lot better on the Magic 6 Pro than I expected, considering it is going from 2.5x to 5x. But overall, all of them perform really well. Portrait mode. And again, portrait mode is going to be very hard to match across the board, because out of the gate, the default focal lengths that you're shooting at is different across all of them. Now, again, most of them now, you can take a normal picture. If it captures enough detail and data, you can make it into a portrait mode image at whichever focal length that you want. But in this particular situation, the one that offers the most flexibility when it comes to portrait mode is between the Vivo and the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Now, the Vivo does show this in millimeter equivalents, and you're gonna go through that and see. So 1x, where it has 24 millimeters. So when it comes to the portrait mode, yeah, all of them really hit well. I just really like the natural look of the iPhones, edge detection and blur, but the others look really good as well. Now, when we move into the 2x mode, this is where the iPhone still holds up great. The Galaxy S24 Ultra, again, still holds up great. And the Vivo X100 Pro 35mm, which is more like a 1.5x, I guess, holds up really great. To me, the Honor Magic 6 Pro just looks way too artificial now. It looks like I've just been cut out, slapped a hell of a blur. There's no natural look to blur that it simulates, so I'm not liking the look of what I'm seeing on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now we'll move to the extended zoom, 5x portrait mode on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, 3x on the S24 Ultra. The Honor Magic 6 Pro is at 2.5x, and then the Vivo X100 Pro is at 50mm, which is basically like 2x. Now, the 5x on the iPhone 15 Pro Max out of the gate, man, so good, really, really good. I like the look of it. The 3x on the S24 Ultra actually is quite decent. In other situations, I've seen it perform better. Again, it's got the gaps in between my arms, so overall it's a good look. The Honor Magic 6 Pro 2.5x portrait, again, it just doesn't look realistic. Yes, it does do the blur. It just looks over blurred and unrealistic, whereas the Vivo X100 Pro actually hits a nice balance. I'm liking the look of it. Now, again, 85mm on the Vivo X100 Pro, 5x on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, 5x on the S24 Ultra, and still on a 5x for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Yeah, Honor Magic 6 Pro, definitely my least favorite. The Vivo X100 Pro actually holds up really nicely. But yeah, what we're seeing on the iPhone and the S24 Ultra, absolute chef's kiss. They're the ones that I really gravitate to the most. Now, you do have the 100mm portrait mode for the Vivo X100 Pro, which basically is the 4.3x, and that looks really good as well. But again, I have to say, I've got to give it to what Samsung and Apple are doing out of the gate, but I really appreciate the flexibility of all the different focal lengths that you're getting on the S24 Ultra, then followed by the Vivo X100 Pro, but definitely S24 Ultra, because these are more optically done, 1, 3, and 5x, and obviously 2 in between with the main processing of the main sensor. Cool. Now, the high resolution modes, again, like to showcase these on an actual human subject. Start on the ultra wide. This is the standard low resolution at 12 megapixels on the iPhone and the Samsung. And then with the Honor and the Vivo, it is 50 megapixels. So those are the extra details that you're getting. The image processing looks really good actually on the Honor Magic 6 Pro. And when we go to the main wide sensor, starting at the 50 megapixel, where we have across the board, the exposure on the S24 Ultra is a bit darker. Again, I would say the one that catches it best is definitely the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Dynamic range goes absolutely out the window on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, so that's a shame to see. Whereas the Vivo X100 Pro, good detail, decent dynamic range, so no complaints there when it comes to it. Now, the 200 megapixel mode, again, seems to have better exposure in this particular situation, and you're gonna get more detail where there's enough light, but again, just consider it in terms of the processing time, image size, and everything that comes with it. But again, that does have a super high resolution sensor at 200 megapixels to help with that. And of course, in the extended zoom range, you do have 50 megapixel zoom on the Galaxy S24 Ultra at 5x, 108 megapixels on the 2.5x on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and then 50 megapixel on the 4.3x. Now, in this particular situation, I actually really like the look of the Honor Magic 6 Pro. My only caveat is the image processing on the Honor Magic 6 Pro has completely changed the color accents of my jacket. It's green. It's not this dark bluish color that is bringing out. So the image processing on my jacket completely off. The other three are way more accurate, so that's just something to put out there. Now, I did a capture speed test across these 4 devices, first with a run in motion and then a jump in motion. In this particular situation, we're just trying to capture as many images as fast as possible to see how well it freezes the frame with the least amount of blur and artifacting. And of course, in historic incidences where I've done these tests, it looks like the iPhone 15 Pro Max really performs the best. The S24 Ultra has really greatly improved. The Honor Magic 6 Pro and the Vivo X100 Pro really hold it down well. But again, see for yourself, not completely scientific, but again, if it helps to indicate the capture speed performance, this is what you have right here. Let's turn off the lights and let's capture some low light images between the S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, the Honor Magic 6 Pro and the Vivo X100 Pro. Now, if you've been here for the first time, you haven't seen my definitive camera comparison and how I break it down for nighttime. I like to capture my images without night mode first for the fastest capturing speed experience, then with night mode, and then flash where applicable. This is really to see the difference in performance, but also the convenience factor, because again, night mode isn't always the best. Flash might be better, and in some cases, night mode, even if you're hand holding it, is requesting you to hold it for like 20 seconds. Might be unrealistic, especially with things like light bleed and light handling. But again, let's start with the ultra wide, and from the jump, gotta give it to the Honor Magic 6 Pro. It is slightly warmer, but again, it's nighttime and you can see the exposure a lot better. Then followed by the Vivo X100 Pro, and then the S24 Ultra, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Let's move over to the main 1x sensor, and again, the order stays near enough very similar, but I would say that the iPhone 15 Pro Max has greatly improved. The S24 Ultra looks really nice and natural. I feel like the update to this right now has really fixed the magenta light hue change that happens with street lights. This used to be a problem, and I'm not seeing it here with the S24 Ultra. So I think being on the latest March update is really helping it here. So I hope this is all the feedback we've been given that's been helping. So good luck on this, Samsung. But overall, all of them do really well, and I like the performance that we're seeing on the X100 Pro from Vivo as well. Now 2x, doing a digital crop on the main wide sensor, we're seeing great performance across the board. I'm actually really liking the exposure detail on the Vivo X100 Pro. All are looking good. Then the Galaxy S24 Ultra, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, as well as the Honor Magic 6 Pro. But honestly, all are looking great. Now, 2.5x, again, this is meant to optically favor what you're getting on the Honor. And yeah, again, the exposure control on the Vivo is really good. But again, you can see on the grass in the foreground that it really falls apart when it comes to image detail. The image detail retention on the S24 Ultra is actually performing a lot better than expected. Maybe this is thanks to the fact that it's got a super high resolution 200 megapixel sensor. So when it's binning, it's able to compensate for that. But yeah, the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then you've got the S24 Ultra, then the Vivo. Now, 3x is meant to actually optically favor the S24 Ultra, and I say, optically, low light, it is a small 10 megapixel 3x zoom, so just consider that as well. It's really not performing as best as I would like. I actually really like the look of the Honor Magic 6 Pro, then the Vivo together, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, 4.3x, this is meant to be optically favoring the Vivo X100 Pro, and it very much shows. It's the one that has the most detail and clarity. Then the Honor Magic 6 Pro, funny enough, is actually doing a good job. And then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then the S24 Ultra. Now 5x, again, this is using the dedicated 5x lens. It's not as fast in light. I think it's an f3.4, 50 megapixel on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. So in this particular situation, Vivo's holding it down, then the Honor Magic 6 Pro, then the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then the S24 Ultra. Now, let's run it back. Night mode is now active, same focal lengths that we're running through, and you're seeing the colossal difference night mode makes for something like the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and across all of them actually. Night mode in this particular situation on the ultra wide is a must. It's just something that if you've got the time and space to use it for the ultra wide. It's such a fundamental difference maker, and it really helps with the image processing, exposure, and the detail across all these devices, especially on the S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the Vivo X100 Pro. And the Honor cleans it up even more. Moving over to the One X main sensor, yes, again, night mode really makes a difference, and I like the fact that the magenta light hue around street lamps have been greatly improved. Samsung, it's either you've been watching my videos and taking back my feedback. Yeah, I appreciate this. This is much better image processing compared to when we first did these camera comparisons at the beginning of when these phones came out, next to the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Pixel 8 Pro. Go watch that just to get a reference of this. Now, moving over to the 2X, you can see that the image processing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max holds up really well. I'm liking that. Now, things shift a bit too saturated on the Samsung for my liking, but the exposure is great. Detail on the board that you're seeing there is great. And of course, the Honor Magic 6 Pro is a bit lower in exposure, so I'll definitely like what I'm seeing on the Vivo X100 Pro. Now, 2.5X, again, it seems to be really struggling to match night mode together in 2.5X on our Honor Magic 6 Pro. This is something we tried to take multiple times, but this is the best result that we could get. And definitely, I'm liking the look of the S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then the Vivo X100 Pro. Now, 3X zoom, much better performance when it comes to 3X with night mode on the S24 Ultra. So specifically, in the 3X mode, night mode is a must on the S24 Ultra. Use it if you've got the time and space. It really does make a difference. It produces and yields the best image, and then that's followed by, actually, in my opinion, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then the Vivo X100 Pro, then the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now, 4.3X. In this particular situation, the Vivo is kind of okay, but yeah, sometimes it flips. And in this particular situation, I've got to give it to the S24 Ultra, then followed by the iPhone 15 Pro Max, then the Vivo X100 Pro, and then the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now, 5X. 5X is greatly improved now on the S24 Ultra. And again, another recommendation, you're using that 5X zoom, use night mode in low light for the S24 Ultra. It makes a huge difference. I would say in some ways it is producing the best image, but I like the overall look of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, if I'm going to be honest. Then I'll give it to the S24 Ultra, then the Vivo, then the Honor. Now, when it comes to taking selfies in low light, overall, I've got to give it to the Galaxy S24 Ultra because it doesn't limit feature sets, and the performance across the board works whether you're doing it with portrait mode or without portrait mode. Now, for example, when you're taking a normal selfie image and then with night mode and then with the front screen flash, you get that accessibility across the board. Great. Now, when you go into portrait mode, you cannot do low light night mode portrait on the iPhone, for example. This is just a known issue. You have to use the front screen flash, whereas the Galaxy S24 doesn't have that limitation. And when it comes to the Vivo and the Honor, they seem to just not play ball with doing portrait mode in nighttime at all. With flash or without flash night mode, it just doesn't work. So it's a big limitation there if that's something that you care about. But overall, it's the S24 Ultra that holds it down across the board. It just allows you to take the shot that you want with low limitations. Right, last set of low light images with the rear cameras with me in the frame as a subject. This is the most difficult part of these camera comparisons because there's so many modes to go through. But again, I had help, so we're gonna go through it. Ultra wide, same order as we had in landscape. Definitely got to give it to the Honor Magic 6 Pro, then followed by the Vivo X100 Pro, and then the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Again, no night mode with this first round. And then when we go to the 1X zoom, the Honor Magic 6 Pro actually does really well. So I still prefer it, even though it does have a warmer look. I actually, in some ways, like the overall colors and white balancing and the color temperature we're getting on the Vivo X100 Pro. Then we'll go to the Honor Magic 6 Pro, and then we have that on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then the iPhone 15 Pro Max. In some ways, the 15 Pro Max does have a cleaner image, but it does look softer, whereas there is a bit more noise on the S24 Ultra. But yeah, take which one you prefer in that situation. 2X, again, in this particular situation, I would say the Vivo X100 Pro is the much more natural looking, even though it does come out as slightly more noise in there, whereas the Honor Magic 6 Pro looks cleaner, but slightly more of an oil pastel skin looking image to it. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, again, falls apart, same as the S24 Ultra in this 2X mode. So yeah, definitely Vivo on a Magic on this particular situation. Now 2.5X, yeah, I would say that the Honor Magic 6 Pro definitely looks the best, even though the exposure is lower. The noise on the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max is definitely not usable. Whereas obviously the Vivo X100 Pro does look softer, but again, the exposure and the colors and the color temperature and the white balancing, really good on it, really like it. Now 3X, again, it's meant to optically favor the S24 Ultra, but yeah, without night mode, it's just not really performing well. And it's the Honor Magic 6 Pro that's just holding it down. Lower exposure, but less noise, actual natural detail. So I like the look of it. Then followed by the X100 Pro, but now the image does look much softer than it did before. Now, 4.3X, I was expecting the Vivo X100 Pro to perform better, but yeah, not in this particular situation. I would say that the Honor Magic 6 Pro is the one to look at. And then the iPhone and the Samsung, yeah, let's not even look at them. Now, yeah, when we go to the 5X, again, still, it's just not really the one when it comes to the S24 Ultra and also the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Yes, the exposure is much better on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but that image is not usable. And I would say in this particular round, without night mode active, it's the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Yes, slightly less exposure, but the image is just clean, it's well balanced. Yeah, I'll give it to the Honor in this stretch all the way through. Let's run it back with night mode active, and again, very consistent. Night mode is needed on the ultra wide for these devices, especially for the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and to an extent the Vivo X100 Pro, but it was doing well without it already. And on the Magic 6 Pro, chilling, no issues. So definitely night mode, big difference maker, especially for the image processing on the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now moving over to the One X lens, again, same consistency. Night mode is a difference maker on the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And even with the Honor Magic 6 Pro, it really tones it in and gives that look of nighttime. I really like it. And of course, the Vivo X100 Pro, looking good. So night mode, yeah, winning with a human in the subject. Okay, 2X, again, night mode really processes well on the Honor Magic 6 Pro, as well as what you're having on the Vivo X100 Pro, and especially on the iPhone and the Samsung. Night mode is needed at 2X, much greater performance, especially as you're seeing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, 2.5X mode, the image now becomes a little bit softer and oil pasty on the skin for the Honor Magic 6 Pro, which really surprises me. So the processing is going way off more than I expected. The Vivo X100 Pro is actually not bad, but I actually prefer the image of the iPhone 15 Pro Max in this particular situation, all things considered. Greatly improved on the S24 Ultra as well. Now for the 3X mode, you 100% need night mode for a human frame in the subject. The difference in the 3X for the S24 Ultra is telling. It produces the best image out of all of them. That's the clear winner in my opinion. So yeah, 3X night mode on the S24 Ultra, definitely needed. 4.3X mode. Again, the Vivo X100 Pro just was not hitting where I was expecting it to. And we did these retakes many times, and it was even doing exposure times of up to like 18 seconds on the tripod. It still wasn't really hitting it. This one is still something I've got to give to the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then followed by the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then what you have with the other two. But yeah, definitely Galaxy S24 Ultra in this situation. Now, move over to 5X. This is where the S24 Ultra failed. It's a very synonymous thing where the processing on a 5X zoom lens with night mode is just not that great. Yes, exposure's improved, but the colors are completely destroyed. This is something Samsung really needs to look at, because in this particular situation, I've got to give it to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, whereas the others do fall apart in night mode. So yeah, consider that. Let's run it back last round with the flash. And in this particular situation, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, in my opinion, takes it. Why? The Galaxy S24 Ultra does not allow you to use the flash with the ultra wide. Now you're going to be thinking, why is it useful to use the flash in ultra wide? If you go out and it's low light and you're doing group pictures outdoors, you want to use the ultra wide with the flash. I do that on a regular basis in so many different situations. So Samsung, please do a software update. Just allow us to use the flash with the ultra wide. And in this particular situation, you can see that there's a major autofocus and bug and issue using a flash with the ultra wide with the Honor Magic 6 Pro. We tried this many times and it just wasn't playing ball. So again, Honor, consider looking into that to see if there's a fix. So for this situation, it's the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Vivo X100 Pro. Moving over to the main 1x lens, I would say the flash performance consistency on the iPhone is definitely the best. It's a bit too toned down on the S24 Ultra. It might be a preferred look because it's more subtle, but again, I prefer what I'm seeing on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. On the Magic 6 Pro did really well. The Vivo X100 Pro, it's just, you know, the tone of the flash is completely off, in my opinion. Not liking it, it's too overbearing, and it just kind of blows everything out way too much. Now, in the 2x mode, you can see that in this situation, I actually like what I'm seeing on the Magic 6 Pro, then followed by the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and then the image starts becoming too soft on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And although there is clarity on the Vivo X100 Pro, I think they really need to sort out the flash module that they're using. I don't really like the look of what it's producing, in my opinion, even though the clarity is greatly improved on there. So it's a give and take how you take it. Now, 2.5x mode, I would say that in some ways, the Honor Magic 6 Pro still takes it, but you can't actually use the flash. It doesn't do a pulsating flash effect in that mode. You have to kind of press the bulb mode where it's just always on. So just take that into consideration. Whereas the flash distance is great on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's traveling a huge distance from its main 1x to now get to 5x to really benefit from it. Whereas in some ways you could say that the Vivos won it, yes, because of the clarity, but I just really don't like the tone of this flash, in my opinion. So just something to consider. So it's, again, the same thing. The 3x, you get a red iron effect on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. The flash on the S24 Ultra, it's really not that powerful. So just take that into consideration. Again, whereas the power is there for the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the clarity isn't there because it just doesn't have a mid-range zoom. Whereas the Honor Magic 6 Pro, I would actually say that's the one I'll take, even though it's just doing a bulb mode. Now, 4.3x, again, the Vivo X100 Pro, it's not really performing how I'm expecting it to perform when it comes to using a flash with the 4.3x zoom. So yeah, again, I'm gonna have to give this one to the Honor Magic 6 Pro. It's kind of stealing the show in this last set of rounds. Now, when we go over to the 5x with the flash, again, I'm non-existent on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. Some would say that I'm gonna be an unlockable character at this point. But again, iPhone 15 Pro Max is definitely looking good in terms of the flash performance power. But again, the lens clarity detail is not there. So again, I have to give it to the Honor Magic 6 Pro in this particular one. Now pushing into portrait mode without night mode, and you're really going to see that in this particular situation, for me, it's Samsung that runs away with it all the way. It does not limit you in what you can do in shooting when it comes to portrait mode, without night mode, with night mode, and even using a flash. Yeah, so 1x, it seems like the Honor Magic 6 Pro, again, just doesn't want to play ball. It's a struggle fest when it comes to this particular situation. Made it have less work for us to do, but again, it's missing it. Whereas you're seeing it on the S24 Ultra, this is really pushing through well, then followed by the Vivo. Actually, in some ways, you could say the Vivo first, S24 Ultra, iPhone 15 Pro Max, and then the Honor Magic 6 Pro. Now 2x in this particular situation, again, Vivo holding it down really well with the 35mm mode, which is more like 1.5x, 2x on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, again, it's a hit and miss when it comes to doing portrait mode with low light. So just something to just consider here. Now we'll move over to the next focal length, 50mm on the Vivo X100 Pro. It's the one that looks to be performing the best out of all of them. The others, yeah, completely falling apart. And in some ways, they just don't activate at all. So just something to consider in that particular situation. Now, 5x, again, low light situations, it does struggle. But again, what you're gonna see is the difference when night mode is activated. But again, credit to the Vivo X100 Pro, it's held it and allowed portrait mode to work all the way through without night mode. So 100mm as well. This is something that it's there. It's working on the Vivo X100 Pro, liking it. In this particular round, when it comes to doing it without night mode and portrait mode, yeah, Vivo X100 Pro. Let's activate night mode where you are able to. Again, the Honor Magic 6 Pro is just not even part of this, but we're just putting it there as what you like to call a placeholder. The S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max look really good. And then the Vivo definitely steps up. Vivo for sure, staying consistent. And then things really come up well for the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the S24 Ultra. Let's see some of the limitations that pry up. You cannot do night mode with the iPhone 15 Pro Max beyond 1x. So the 2x and the 5x for portrait mode night just doesn't work, meaning it's a hit and miss. So you're not really getting portrait mode work on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, again, it works on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but it's very patchy compared to what you're seeing on the Vivo X100 Pro. So Vivo takes this one. Now 50mm mode compared to 3x with night mode active. Again, it now works better on the Galaxy S24 Ultra, but for me personally, the Vivo X100 Pro is the one that's just walking away with it. And then we'll move over to the next focal length, which is 85mm. Again, with night mode active, it is still working on the X100 Pro. So the X100 Pro from Vivo is walking away with it. 100mm, yep, still here. And then 5x, you have that matching up where it works with night mode, but again, come on. 100mm night mode portrait on the Vivo X100 Pro. So again, both rounds without night mode and night mode active, it looks like the X100 Pro from Vivo is the one that's really taking the cup. Last set to allow us to do it is with flash. Again, flash with portrait mode is something that can help compensate, and this only really works on the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is where the limitation on the Vivo X100 Pro comes in. It doesn't allow you to use the flash and portrait mode together. So Vivo, consider watching this, adding the flash option for your portrait mode through the 24mm, 35, 50, 85, and 100mm modes that it does. It will really make a difference to giving you a clean sweep. So this is where the iPhone claws it back. So it looks really good in terms of the image, but I would still give it to the Galaxy S24 Ultra when it comes to portrait mode in this situation. Here's a funny one that we came across, another bug. Yeah, what you're seeing there is the Galaxy S24 Ultra with the 2x portrait mode with flash. And if you don't believe me, we are actually gonna put up a B-roll showing a sequence of us capturing. I just couldn't believe it. We did this about 3 times. And the funny thing is, it was just something that we just accidentally discovered. So yeah, there's a bug where if you're using 2x portrait mode with flash, it actually goes wider. Don't know what that's about. Samsung, have a look into this and get this fixed. You can see with our B-roll sequence that we captured, this is something that is very evident. So it's a weird one. So for this situation, again, I've just got to give it to the iPhone 15 Pro Max for the 2x portrait mode with flash. Now we're moving over to the 5x portrait mode with flash on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Again, it's non-existent. 3x on the S24 Ultra, I guess it's the winner by default in that situation, whereas the others don't do it. And then when we go to 5x, it doesn't really activate all that well. So to an extent, it's the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but honestly, at this point, they are just not usable. Do not use them in this mode. A couple of shout outs for the team that is Lover of Tech. First of all, we've got our intern, production assistant, and in-house video editor, Matthew, who you saw pretty much is the one that gets all these excitingly good looking B-roll when we're out in the wild doing these camera comparisons. So yeah, much appreciation to him as it makes these videos look good. But also we have Kofi as well here. He was actually our first person on work experience with us this week. So he did really well, and especially on the Thursday where we had to go out again, do these shots, it was much needed that he stepped in. And that particular sequence where you saw with the bug with the 2x mode in flash for portrait mode and low light, yeah, you got Matthew on the camera, me in the frame as the subject being taken a picture of, and it was actually Kofi that was pressing the shutter. So look, a lot of hands-on to really make this definitive camera comparison happen and work. So big shout out to these two. Now, if you made it to the end of this definitive camera comparison, then put a fist bump emoji in the comment section below so I know that you're a real one. Which is your favorite pick between these 4 juggernaut camera systems on these flagship devices? Let me know in the comment section below. And that's it for me, Ben from Lover of Tech. If you enjoy videos like this, you know exactly what to do. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're part of Team TLS, the Tech Lover Squad, so you don't miss any future videos on the channel. I hope you're all safe during this time. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.